A story centered around a mysterious haunted house typically unfolds with an atmosphere thick with tension and suspense. It often begins with rumors circulating in a small town or neighborhood about a house that stands abandoned and shrouded in an unsettling aura. The locals speak in hushed tones about strange happenings, lights flickering at odd hours, eerie sounds emanating from within, and sightings of shadowy figures through dusty windows. The protagonist of such a story might be an adventurous skeptic, a curious journalist, or a troubled soul seeking answers. Intrigued by the tales, they decide to investigate the abandoned house, despite warnings from wary townsfolk. As they step inside, the air feels heavy with the weight of the house's history. A history that unfolds in whispers of tragedy, betrayal, or unfinished business. The house itself becomes a character, its creaking floorboards and peeling wallpaper echoing with the ghosts of its past occupants. The protagonist encounters inexplicable phenomena, objects moving on their own, doors slamming shut, and chilling apparitions that appear and disappear without warning. Each discovery peels back layers of the mystery, revealing secrets long buried and forgotten. Throughout the story, tension builds as the protagonist delves deeper into the haunted house's dark past, piecing together clues and confronting their own fears. Ultimately, the resolution may come in the form of a confrontation with the restless spirits or a revelation that brings closure to the haunting. The allure of a mysterious haunted house story lies in its ability to evoke a primal fear of the unknown while exploring themes of redemption, guilt, and the persistence of the past. It captivates readers with its atmospheric setting, psychological depth, and the lingering question: are some mysteries better left undisturbed? As I cautiously approached the decrepit front porch of the haunted house, my heart raced with a mixture of fear and fascination. The sun was setting, casting long shadows that danced across the cracked pavement and overgrown garden. The house loomed before me, its once grand facade now weathered and worn, windows boarded up like vacant eyes. I took a deep breath, steeling myself against the whispers of doubt that echoed in my mind. The stories I had heard were chilling. Tales of a family torn apart by tragedy, of a presence that lingered long after their departure. Despite the warnings from locals, I had to know the truth. I had to uncover the secrets hidden within those walls. With trembling hands, I pushed open the creaking front door. The air inside was stale, tinged with the scent of dust and decay. The hallway stretched out before me, dimly lit by the fading daylight filtering through cracked windows. Each step echoed loudly in the silence, as if the house itself was holding its breath, waiting. I moved cautiously from room to room, my footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of fallen leaves and debris. In the dining room, an overturned chair lay on its side, as if someone had fled in haste. In the parlor, an old piano stood draped in cobwebs, its keys untouched for years. As I ascended the staircase, the atmosphere grew heavier, the air colder. At the top, a corridor stretched out, lined with closed doors like sentinels guarding their secrets. I reached for the handle of the nearest door, my hand trembling as I turned it slowly. The door creaked open, revealing a bedroom frozen in time. Faded wallpaper adorned the walls, a testament to a bygone era. The bed, neatly made but covered in a fine layer of dust, stood as if waiting for its occupants to return. In the corner, a child's rocking horse swayed gently, despite the absence of any breeze. And there, standing by the window, was a figure, a shadowy silhouette that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. My heart pounded in my chest as I approached cautiously, my mind racing with questions. Who was this figure? What had happened in this house to leave such a lingering presence? As I drew closer, the figure turned towards me, its eyes hollow yet filled with an unspoken sorrow. And then, with a whispered sigh, the figure dissipated like smoke, leaving behind only an echoing emptiness. I stood there, trembling, realizing that I had witnessed something beyond explanation, a glimpse into the haunted past of this forsaken house. As I made my way back down the stairs and out into the fading light of day, I knew that I had uncovered only a fraction of the truth. The mysteries of the haunted house still lingered, waiting for someone brave enough to delve deeper, to unravel the tangled threads of history and uncover the secrets buried within its walls. And though I left that place with more questions than answers, I knew one thing for certain. The haunting of that house would stay with me forever, a chilling reminder of the thin veil between the living and the dead. As I stepped back onto the porch, the evening had deepened into darkness, and the air around me felt charged with the weight of what I had just experienced. The encounter with the shadowy figure had left me shaken, but also driven by a newfound determination to unravel the mysteries that enveloped the haunted house. I retreated to a safe distance, sitting on the steps as I gathered my thoughts. The stories whispered by locals flooded my mind, of a tragic fire that claimed the lives of a family who once called this place home. According to the rumors, their restless spirits remained trapped within these walls, unable to find peace. With my heart still racing, I pulled out a notebook and pen from my backpack. I needed to document everything: the strange occurrences, the chilling apparition, the atmosphere that seemed to thicken with each passing moment. Each detail was a piece of the puzzle, a clue that could potentially shed light on the truth. As I scribbled down my observations, a soft breeze stirred the leaves around me, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The haunted house loomed behind me, its presence a silent reminder of the stories etched into its very foundations. Despite the fear gnawing at me, curiosity and a sense of duty pushed me forward. The next day, armed with a flashlight and a camera, I returned to the haunted house. This time, I explored the neglected attic and basement, areas that had been overlooked during my initial visit. In the attic, amidst cobwebs and forgotten belongings, I discovered an old journal tucked away in a dusty trunk. The journal belonged to Emily, the youngest daughter of the family who once lived here. Her entries spoke of a happy childhood overshadowed by her father's increasing obsession with the occult and strange experiments conducted in secret. As I read on, the entries grew darker, hinting at rituals performed to commune with spirits and unlock hidden knowledge. In the basement, hidden beneath layers of debris, I found a box of old photographs. They depicted the family in happier times, birthday celebrations, outings in the garden, and moments of laughter frozen in time. But there was also a series of photos that sent a chill down my spine, blurry images of shadowy figures lurking in the background, their faces obscured but their presence undeniable. With each discovery, the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. The tragic fate of the family, the lingering spirits trapped within the haunted house, and the dark secrets that had been buried for decades, all began to unfold before me. It was a story of love and loss, of desperation and the unquenchable thirst for knowledge that led to ruin. As I prepared to leave the haunted house once more, I couldn't help but feel a sense of closure mingled with lingering unease. The spirits I had encountered seemed to linger in the corners of my mind, their stories etched into my memory. I knew that the haunted house would continue to haunt me, its mysteries forever intertwined with my own journey of discovery. And as I walked away, I made a silent promise to honor the memory of those who had suffered within those walls, to remember their story and to ensure that their voices were not forgotten in the darkness that surrounded the haunted house. In the days that followed my exploration of the haunted house, I found myself consumed by the revelations unearthed from its depths. The journal of Emily, the old photographs, and the eerie encounters with spectral figures haunted my thoughts day and night. Determined to uncover more answers, I delved deeper into local archives, seeking any historical records that could shed light on the tragic events that befell the family. My research led me to the town library, where dusty tomes and yellowed newspapers offered glimpses into the past. I pieced together fragments of the family's history, their arrival in the town with hopes of a fresh start, the father's descent into obsession with the occult, and whispers of strange occurrences surrounding their secluded home. One particularly chilling newspaper article from decades past detailed a fire that had engulfed the house during a stormy night. The blaze was fierce and swift, claiming the lives of the entire family. The cause of the fire remained a mystery, but rumors circulated of supernatural forces at play, of voices heard in the wind, of flickering lights in the windows on moonless nights. Armed with this new information, I revisited the haunted house with a renewed sense of purpose. I sought to communicate with the spirits that lingered within, hoping to offer them peace and closure. Armed with a voice recorder and an open heart, I ventured into the dimly lit rooms and called out softly into the stillness. "Emily," I whispered, "if you can hear me, I want to understand your story. I want to help." Silence greeted my words, and I continued my exploration, moving from room to room with cautious steps. In the parlor, I felt a sudden drop in temperature, a chill that seemed to settle into my bones. Shadows danced on the walls, and a faint whisper echoed in the air, a voice tinged with sorrow and longing. I followed the sound to the attic, where I found myself face to face with a manifestation. A pale figure, translucent yet unmistakably human. It was Emily, the young girl whose journal had revealed so much of her inner turmoil and fear. She stood before me, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and relief. Through whispered words and fleeting gestures, she conveyed fragments of her story. The fear of her father's experiments, the darkness that enveloped their home, and the desperate attempt to reach out to the spirits that dwelled beyond the veil. With each passing moment, I felt a connection forming, a bond between the living and the dead, bridging the gap that had kept Emily and her family trapped in limbo. I listened intently, offering words of empathy and understanding, hoping to ease their restless souls. As dawn approached and the first rays of sunlight filtered through the dusty windows, Emily's form began to fade. She smiled faintly, a gesture of gratitude, before dissipating into the ether. The haunted house grew still around me, its atmosphere lighter yet tinged with the weight of history. I left the house that morning with a profound sense of closure. The mysteries that had once shrouded the haunted house were no longer mere whispers in the dark. They were stories etched into my heart, a testament to the power of empathy and the enduring presence of those who had passed beyond the veil. Though the haunted house still stands, its windows no longer boarded and its doors no longer barred, its legacy remains. A reminder of the fragility of life, the persistence of memory, and the bonds that transcend even death itself. And as I walked away, I knew that I had witnessed something extraordinary, a journey of discovery that had brought light to the shadows and peace to the restless spirits of the haunted house. In the weeks following my encounter with Emily's spirit in the haunted house, I couldn't shake the profound impact it had on me. Her presence lingered in my thoughts, prompting me to delve deeper into understanding the circumstances that had led to her family's tragic fate. I continued my research, poring over more historical documents and interviewing elderly residents who had memories passed down through generations. Each piece of information added a layer to the narrative, a tale of a once prominent family that had fallen into obscurity, of whispers of strange lights and eerie noises that had plagued the town for decades. One elderly resident, Mrs. Hawthorne, shared a particularly chilling story. She recounted a childhood memory of seeing flickering lights in the windows of the haunted house on stormy nights. She spoke of how the townsfolk had avoided the property, believing it cursed by the spirits of those who had perished in the fire. Her accounts corroborated the eerie atmosphere I had sensed during my own visits. Armed with these stories, I returned to the haunted house once more, this time with a sense of determination to uncover the truth and bring closure to Emily and her family. I brought along equipment for paranormal investigation, electromagnetic field detectors, infrared cameras, and voice recorders, hoping to capture more evidence of the supernatural phenomena that had plagued the house. As I entered the house, I felt a mixture of trepidation and resolve. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the spirits themselves were aware of my presence. I made my way through the familiar rooms, setting up equipment and calling out softly into the darkness. "Emily, if you're here, please show me a sign. Help me understand what happened to you and your family." For hours, there was only silence, broken occasionally by the creaking of floorboards and the distant howl of the wind outside. I began to feel disheartened, wondering if Emily's spirit had moved on or if my earlier encounter had been a fleeting anomaly. But just as I was about to pack up and leave, a chill swept through the room, causing the flame of a candle I had placed on a table to flicker wildly. The electromagnetic field detector spiked erratically, and a voice, faint yet unmistakable, echoed in the air. "Help us." I turned towards the source of the voice, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and compassion. Standing before me were the spectral forms of Emily's family, her mother, father, and older brother. They appeared as shimmering apparitions, their features blurred yet radiating a palpable sense of sorrow and longing. I approached them slowly, extending a hand in a gesture of peace. "I want to help," I whispered, my voice trembling slightly. "Tell me what happened. Let me bring closure to your souls." Through faint whispers and fragmented visions, the spirits communicated their story. The father's descent into madness as he sought forbidden knowledge, the mother's futile attempts to protect her children from the darkness that consumed their home, and the tragic fire that had claimed their lives. As the spirits recounted their tale, I listened intently, offering words of comfort and understanding. I assured them that they were not forgotten, that their story would be told, and their restless souls would find peace. With each passing moment, the atmosphere in the haunted house grew lighter, as if a weight had been lifted from its ancient beams. The spirits' forms began to fade, their ethereal presence dissipating like mist in the morning sun. And as I stood alone in the now quiet house, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The mysteries that had haunted this place for so long were finally laid to rest. Emily and her family could now move on, their spirits released from the bonds of the haunted house. As I walked away from the house that had held so many secrets, I knew that my journey was far from over. The haunted house had taught me that some mysteries are not meant to be feared but embraced. With empathy, courage, and a willingness to uncover the truth, no matter how unsettling it may be. In the aftermath of my encounters with the spirits of Emily's family in the haunted house, a sense of closure settled over the town. The once whispered tales of the haunted house began to transform into a narrative of healing and redemption, as the community slowly came to terms with the tragic history that had been unearthed. News of my investigation spread, prompting others to come forward with their own stories and memories connected to the haunted house. Each account added depth to the understanding of what had transpired within those walls. A convergence of personal tragedies, unresolved emotions, and the lingering echoes of a past steeped in darkness. I continued to document these stories, compiling them into a comprehensive record that honored the memories of Emily and her family. Through interviews, photographs, and historical research, I pieced together a narrative that spanned generations, a tale of love and loss, of the human spirit's resilience in the face of adversity. As the months passed, I returned to the haunted house periodically, not in search of ghosts or phenomena, but to pay respects to the lives that had been touched by its haunting presence. The once forbidding structure began to undergo a transformation, both physically and symbolically, as efforts were made to preserve its historical significance and honor the memories of those who had lived and died within its walls. In collaboration with local historians and preservationists, I worked to ensure that the haunted house would not be forgotten or relegated to mere legend. The property became a focal point for community outreach and education, offering tours and events that shared the rich tapestry of its history with visitors from near and far. One sunny afternoon, as I stood outside the now restored facade of the haunted house, I reflected on the journey that had led me here. The spirits of Emily and her family no longer lingered within its walls, their restless souls finally finding peace. The haunted house had become a symbol of resilience and transformation, a testament to the power of understanding and compassion in confronting the shadows of the past. As I turned to leave, I glanced back one last time, feeling a sense of gratitude for having been part of this journey. The haunted house stood silent and solemn, its secrets laid bare but its legacy enduring, a beacon of hope and healing in a world often haunted by its own mysteries.